The letter was placed on my desk at 6:03 p.m. on December 23rd. I wasn't expecting a crisis. Not on the night before Christmas Eve, when the house was finally quiet, the fire was lit, and I had a rare moment of peace. My security chief, Ivan, put it before me, a single sheet of paper, its top edge decorated with clumsily cut red hearts. "It was in the Foundation's mail, sir," he said, his voice tight. "It's addressed to Father Frost." I dismissed him and picked it up. The script was Cyrillic. A child's hand. "Dear Grandfather Frost, my name is Anya. I am 6. The penthouse was a masterpiece of silent luxury. Marble floors reflected the soft glow of the Christmas tree, each ornament placed by a decorator. Nikolai's hour with Anya was etched into his schedule like a board meeting. He found her in the playroom, sitting beside the exquisite and used dollhouse. "Did you have a good day, Solnishko?" he asked, the term of endearment feeling formal. She nodded, her eyes on his briefly before returning to the pony figurine in her hand, a miniature of the real one in the country stable. He knelt, unsure what to do next, his love a tangible, awkward force in the room. On the mantel, a photograph of Elena smiled her timeless, knowing smile, a ghost witnessing the fortress he'd built in her absence. The investigation was swift, sterile, and terrifying. Security logs, mailroom CCTV. The heart-adorned letter had been misfiled with Foundation pleas, processed in a batch, and delivered. The destination turned Nikolai's blood to ice, the offices of Thorne Capital. Michael Thorne. The vulture of Wall Street, famed for dismantling family-owned companies, exploiting emotional attachments as weaknesses. This wasn't a privacy invasion, it was a strategic catastrophe. Nikolai envisioned tabloid headlines, boardroom whispers about an unstable heir. But worse than the professional panic was a father's primal fear. A shark now swam in the deepest, most vulnerable waters of his life, holding his daughter's purest wish in its jaws. The memory was a physical ache. Elena, her hands smudged with charcoal, laughing at his inability to relax. "Nico," she'd say, "the world is not a spreadsheet." She filled their home with messy beauty, with impromptu dances, with the smell of oil paints and pierogi. She was his antithesis and his anchor. When the headache began, none of his money, none of his influence, could stop the hemorrhage in her brain. The silence after was absolute. At the funeral, holding a bewildered 3-year-old Anya, he made his vow: control everything. No more unexpected pain. He sealed his heart in a vault of routine and wealth, mistaking the act of provision for the art of parenting. The note arrived 2 days later, not to his office but to his private residence, bypassing all systems. Thorne's personal stationery, thick cream stock. The handwriting was bold, precise. "Volkov, the letter found its way to me. Your daughter has a poet's heart. We should talk. MT. No threats. No demands." Its simplicity was its own weapon. Nikolai stared at it, suspicion and a treacherous flicker of intrigue warring within him. Why would a predator announce itself? The note implied a conversation, not an extortion. It felt like the first move in a game he didn't understand, with rules written in a language far removed from billion-dollar deals. This story of a father's fear and a daughter's hope is why I write. It's crafted for a community that believes in second chances. If it resonates with you, if you want to see how Nikolai navigates this impossible meeting, consider joining us with a subscription. Your support allows these shared emotional journeys to continue. Nikolai entered the agreed-upon private club, steeled for negotiation. Thorne awaited him not in a shadowy corner, but in a pool of library light. He was older than his reputation, his eyes holding a fatigue money couldn't cure. "Thank you for coming," Thorne said, his voice gravelly. He dispensed with preamble. I opened it. I read it. My analysts thought it was a brilliant, twisted piece of corporate sabotage. He paused, looking past Nikolai, his gaze distant. I had a daughter. Leukemia. 7 years old. The admission hung in the air, disarming Nikolai completely. Thorn met his eyes. I could have weaponized your child's words. But some things, he said, the word leaving him slowly, are sacred. Thorn's proposal was absurd. Come to my sister's home. Tomorrow. For Christmas Eve. Nikolai stared, waiting for the catch, the hidden clause. It's chaos. Children, dogs, terrible singing, burned pelmeni. The exact opposite of that museum you live in. Thorn leaned forward, his intensity not mercenary, but missionary. Your daughter's letter didn't ask for a quieter fortress, Volkov. It asked for laughter. For life. You can give her every object in the world, or you can give her one real night. The choice is a terrible one, I know. He placed the original letter, with its red hearts, on the table between them. The invitation hung not in the air, but in Nikolai's soul. The drive home was a silence filled with roaring conflict. Safety was a known quantity, a quiet dinner, a perfect tree, the gentle hum of the fortress. Joy was an unknown variable, a crowded room, a stranger's family, vulnerability. He found Anya with Sophia, her small hands folding a paper star. Anya, he began, his voice foreign. Would you like to try a different kind of Christmas tomorrow? She looked up, and in her wide, dark eyes, he didn't see excitement, but a fragile, devastating hope. It was the hope that shattered him. He had spent years building walls to protect that light, and now he had to tear one down to let it shine. The choice was no choice at all. Thorn's sister's house was a beautiful assault on the senses. Noise crashed in waves, laughter, arguing, a yapping dog, carols off key. The air was thick with garlic, pine, and humanity. Nikolai stood paralyzed by the doorway, a sentinel in a suit. Anya, after a moment of clinging to his leg, was swept away by a flock of cousins, a hesitant smile blooming on her face. He watched her disappear into the chaos, his heart pounding with a strange, terrified pride. Later, Thorn found him in the relative quiet of the kitchen, pressing the familiar folded paper into his hand. She doesn't need a new mother, Thorn said quietly, watching the children. She needs her father to come back to life. Christmas morning light filtered through the penthouse, not onto a desk covered in reports, but onto a sprawling blanket fort in the living room. Nikolai, still in his pajamas, lay beside Anya, telling stories of Elena, the funny ones, the warm ones. Anya's laughter was a real, echoing sound. He called Thorn. Thank you, he said, the word inadequate. For the mercy. Thorn's gruff reply held a smile. Don't thank me. Just live. It's much harder. Nikolai hung up, looking at his daughter. He felt the old, icy shell within him crack and fall away, not in a dramatic crash, but in a slow, gentle thaw. The letter had been answered. Not by a magical elf, but by the painful, beautiful chain of one broken man recognizing another, forcing a billionaire to finally become what he always was, a dad. This story found its end because of a community that believes in redemption. If Nikolai and Anya's journey moved you, consider joining that community with a subscription. Your support directly fuels these shared explorations of heart, hope, and the courage to change.